to Care Lab.
Welcome to Care Lab. We're already laughing and joking because we got Maria Lindbergh back on the podcast, and she needs no introduction because she's a Care Lab fave. So, Maria, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I love coming to join the party on Care Lab. It is Friday morning, so I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let's do this. Brandy, because we didn't even talk about this before you hit record, do you have an icebreaker? Do we need an icebreaker with Maria Lindbergh? What's going on? It's crazy. No one knows.
I think, so this is what I actually think we should do, because we kind of talked about what we want to talk about, and I think that is actually the icebreaker. And so let's just let it be. So what is one thing that you hate to see in bathrooms? So Maria has to start.
Yes. I will start. This is something that isn't commonly thought about. But, if you walk into any public restroom, like maybe you go into a coffee shop or you're going to your doctor's office or something like that, you walk in, you look at the handicap accessible stall, and you see a grab bar on the back wall of the toilet. So you may see a grab bar above the toilet tank. And it is at kind of an awkward height if you're standing up, but that's because it is meant for wheelchair users when they're seated in their wheelchair to hold on to and help pull themselves over to the toilet seat. So what people think is in their own home bathrooms, they start to look at, these accessible handicap stalls in public places, and they think that they also need a rear wall grab bar. So I'm going to turn it to you both and hear what you think. Should people in their own homes have rear wall grab bars, or should they just skip it?
Oh man, I like how you turned that right around back at us. Sure, Maria Lindbergh.
Yes, I want to hear your thoughts.
All right,
Emilia, you first.
I was going to say, I didn't ask the original question, so I think I have to go first. Okay, so I think that the best and most boring answer is probably it depends on the individual. However, for the vast majority of people, a grab bar on the rear wall just above the toilet tank is probably not going to be appropriate, because most people aren't going to be using a grab bar for that particular type of transfer unless they are perhaps a wheelchair user in their home and there's not a better setup or transfer method for that person. I mean, that said, I'm sure there are scenarios in which a grab bar above the back of the toilet might work for some people. I'm definitely not I tend to be a never say never, but in most circumstances, that's probably not going to be appropriate. And what is appropriate to find out what is actually correct for you would be to get an evaluation with an occupational therapist to determine.
Always the answer.
It's always the answer. You may have noticed this theme at Care Lab, dear listener. That's always the answer.
It's a common thread.
It really is actually the best thing to do to make sure that the grab bar that you need, if indeed you do need a grab bar, is placed in the correct spot for you or your loved one or whoever is going to be using it. Because when we're looking at individual bathrooms and individual needs, that often requires individual placement solutions. So it's not always just universally done, especially because most bathrooms were not built to universal design standards, right? And they might be really small. They might be really big. They might have the toilet set up in a certain way where there aren't any walls near you, right? And so you really want someone to come in who can see all the possibilities, who knows about all the product and the ways that they can go in there and can make the right recommendation for that person. Brandy, you had some looks on your face while I was talking. So
I have some strong opinions about this, but before I divulge into that, Maria, it sounds like you know a legitimate reason for why a rear wall grab bar would be in place in a public space. And I don't. So can you tell us a little bit about who might use, you said a wheelchair user. I'm still picturing somebody using a wheelchair And unless they're going to pull themselves onto the toilet backwards, essentially, so their face is facing the tank, I don't see a way that you're using that rear wall grab bar.
It is tricky. So, like Emilia was talking about, you really would want to have an occupational therapist involved in deciding whether to put one in or not. I made a video, YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you type at Toilet Talk Me, you'll find a whole bunch of my videos, and one of them is titled Rear Wall Grab Bar. So if you would like to see me demonstrating, of course, I'm not a wheelchair user, so it's, there's one representation of how to get on and off. And plus, I'm transferring from a chair to a toilet, so it's not even an actual wheelchair. But it does take, for some people, you have to have the ability to reach up and reach out to grab the grab bar. So for some people, that's not possible to grab the rear wall grab bar. In the video, I actually turn my upper back a little bit to actually be able to grip the rear wall grab bar. And then you have to be able to have the strength to scoot your butt on over to the toilet. So it's actually, there was a small study done, and I believe it was through RESNA, those are the engineers who help set up the, ADA guidelines for putting grab bars into bathroom and how big we should make stalls and things like that. And so there was a small study done actually through Georgia Tech and RESNA combined, where they asked people who lived in kind of like a nursing home setting. And they were asking them, some of the residents had bathrooms with rear wall grab bars, and some of them did not have any. And so they got feedback from them. Some of them, the ones who did use the rear wall grab bars, some of them said that it worked out really well for them. They typically had a rear wall grab bar in addition to another grab bar on the wall next to the toilet. So they had two grab bars that they could use. So some of them liked it, but some of them said that it was actually confusing and that they didn't know where to put their hands to safely get on and off the toilet. So I know I've seen some pretty wild toilet transfers in my day involving those rear wall grab bars. I've seen men who, they're standing up facing the toilet to urinate and they're holding onto that grab bar, but it's making them lean forward and not have the best balance. So can also, that's why I asked, because it's like you said, Emilia, it's always it depends situation. But yeah, that's why rear wall grab bars are put in, is mostly for wheelchair users to get on and off of the toilet.
Okay, well, I'm going to watch the video so I can see how that transfer works.
Same.
Because I still don't feel like I see very many people who would need to use that bar and couldn't do a different kind of transfer with the bar that's on the wall beside you.
I think that's the thing, right? All three of us have probably taught hundreds, if not thousands, of wheelchair users how to do a toilet transfer. And I've literally never, ever taught someone to do that with a rear wall grab bar.
Yes.
So
yeah, it works well for people who are tall and they've got the
long
limbs
arms.
and the
long
reach.
Arms.
Yes. The long arms, it usually works better for them. But when you have petite, tiny little old women, it's just not even an option unless you want to crack a rib or give them another crack in the spine or do something like that. You're going to be breaking some back precautions for sure. So yeah, it's anecdotally, I've seen few people benefit from that rear wall grab bar.
I think that has in a slightly different tone of thought. It has, I'm not here to take away no accessibility from anyone. So if a grab bar on the wall helps 1 in 100 people, 1 in 100 people are helped, I'm glad for that. In public, in a public space. Your question was, should we have it in somebody's house? Probably not. Is the strong answer. Is probably not. There's no real good reason for that. I'm also just a fan of the least grab bars possible at home, because the thing that people call about the most, because it's the thing you recognize the easiest, is like, I need a grab bar. Mm-hmm. And maybe 50% of the time, that's not actually the best answer. They need something. They do need help, but it's not necessarily a grab bar, because they're fairly inaccessible to get done, I guess is what I'm saying. Because where we might want to put the grab bar is not necessarily where the studs are at, or where it's possible to screw into a wall at. Or do you want to screw into your ceramic tile? It has a risk of getting cracked. Really challenging on the stone tile. And so if I can find another way to solve the problem without all of those risk factors, the showers with the plexiglass enclosures, you can't really screw into those. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always like, how can we solve this without a grab bar? So I definitely have never recommended one, and I'm usually recommending like as few as possible. Like, I love a angled grab bar on the side wall of the toilet, so that whether you're standing up and peeing or sitting down, you have a place to hold on to that's the right angle for you. So like, if we do one of those, then we're usually Gucci. But
is that a new term from
the children
from the kids,
say? Yeah,
from the youngins? Yeah, being Gucci.
That's what I like say.
It. I like it. I'm taking
it's so funny because I actually don't think it's very new. I think it's like,
oh really?
To me, the kids saying something, that sounds like my kids' age, like the 10 and down. Like Gucci, I feel like is like what teenagers or somebody older than like 20-year-olds say, because that's just saying a lot about how old I am. So I'm just saying, don't act like that's like a new thing to say and you feel cool, because it's probably.
I mean, I recognize that if I'm just hearing it and recognizing it, it's very unlikely that this is a new thing that I am picking up on as an early
and
adopter.
On trend.
I recognize I am not an early adopter. I am not on trend. And when I say it, my children are going to be deeply embarrassed.
Yes.
But I like it. I do like it.
You should
start so funny.
Addressing...
It's so funny that it just like filled into my vocabulary. But yeah.
No,
I like it.
If you really want to embarrass your kids, start whenever you want their attention, like to talk to both of them, say chat, and then say what you're gonna say. Like I'll say
chat? Gucci?
Chat. Like I'll say chat. Hey, do you want to put this grab bar above your toilet? Like if you're addressing
like C-H-A-T?
Oh, this is the new like
yes.
hey? Like,
yeah,
hey.
It's instead of hey, it's chat.
I'm gonna try that this evening with my 10-year-old, who is basically 24, like in his level of coolness and being like up to date with things. So I'm gonna be like, hey chat, you wanna go out for some Mexican food tonight? And he's gonna be like, what? And he's gonna.
Why are you talking to me like that?
And then as soon as I say it, he will never say it again. He's gonna be like, okay, well, mom's
that word's
dead.
That
word's dead.
Yes, exactly.
Indeed.
Hey there, it's Emilia. Listen, I am so thrilled to have a great resource like Ask Sammy as part of the Care Lab team, and here's why. It's a game changer for aging in place because it makes it so simple. All you do is ask. Just type in your question or even tell Sammy what the problem is and get tailored solutions. Everything from innovative adaptive equipment to comprehensive resources. It's a great way to become more empowered, to live more independently, and to live with greater confidence. And my favorite thing about how Ask Sammy works is it's deeply rooted in dignity and practicality. So whether you're a fellow therapist, a care partner, or someone who's seeking solutions for themselves, visit www.asksammy.com. We're going to link it in the show notes so you can find it there. Start making home more accessible today. Now, back to the show.
Okay, not to steer the conversation away from important things, but okay, so, I have a question for you both, kind of based on what you were just saying, Brandy. And I don't necessarily, I don't have an opinion actually here. This is just curiosity about what y'all's experience has been doing home modifications with people. Because you're right, Brandy, a lot of times, like the two big reasons that would be called in for a home modification most of the time is someone thinks they need a grab bar, or someone is having trouble accessing the shower or something in their bathroom, right? Like those are the two big ones, which by the way, folks, we can help you access all kinds of areas of your home to do all of the things that you want to do, not just shower and poop. Although those are the most important things.
Those are you got to do multiple times a day.
Yes.
In the smallest, most inaccessible room in your house. So this is a reason why we are this is the reason Maria has toilet talk, because it's like this is the primary problem in our houses.
It is really important. It's actually also one of my most favorite things to work with is toileting and toileting independence and all of that stuff, because it is so important. And it's not just about like hygiene and the things we have to do. It's also about like human dignity.
Yeah.
And independence in a very basic way that really means something to people. So it actually, like, we all share, I think, Maria's passion for the importance of independence with toileting. Totally. But okay, so here's my question. So called in, I think I need a grab bar, not sure where to put it. It's kind of a funky situation. And so, there are some bathrooms where like maybe the way that the toilet is positioned, it's just not near any walls. Maybe it's also an elongated toilet. So a grab bar would have to come out really far to actually be usable. And so you're thinking, okay, well, perhaps we get one that can like fold up and fold down. So it's not in the walking space, but then it all goes. But these are more complicated solutions, right? And to your point, Brandy, sometimes the better solution just is like put like an elevated toilet seat with some handles on that toilet, put a bedside, my favorite easy go-to, put a 3-in-1 commode over that thing. It raises, it lowers, it's very stable. It has armrests on it, so you can use them to give yourself a boost to get up and down, which also helps to maintain your strength for getting up and down off of other things. And it's also way less expensive and does not require any kind of construction. So that equipment, rather than a grab bar, depending on the situation, is also often my go-to in recommendations. But that's not necessarily what I have found people want. There's still resistance to that equipment, and sometimes people will still choose, I would prefer to go through the more complex thing with the grab bar. Has that also been, and of course it totally depends on people's aesthetics and their opinions, and I view my place as like, I'm there as a partner, I'm there to educate, like these are my recommendations, this is why. Ultimately the choice is up to you, the homeowner, right? So have you also had that experience, both of you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Brandy,
you go, Maria.
do you want to go first? Oh, okay. Thanks. Yes. Ugh. I've had that experience so many times. And I feel like I go in with the same approach where it's like, I'm here, I'm going to make some recommendations, and you choose what's going to work best for you. And there are people who have, I remember it was devastating. There was this woman whose mother was living with her, and she had just discharged from rehab. And so I went to the house and looked in the bathroom, and it was very like the only thing she needed, the mother, was simply like some armrest next to the toilet. Not so much, she was very short, so not so much to raise the toilet and make it taller, because that would make her feet not touch the floor and make it uncomfortable in the back of her legs, which we do not want. But yeah, just pretty much some armrests for the toilet. And so the daughter was adamant that she wanted her bathroom to look a certain way, and she would rather help her mom get on and off of the toilet than even make a simple change for her mother to do it on her own. And so that can be difficult. So it's, the good things are, yes, like I am very much, that's the great thing about us as occupational therapists, right? Like we know all of the things and all of the products, and we can, based on, whether it's like, I've got a really tight budget. So here's some really inexpensive recommendations. I always tell people, like, ask relatives, friends, if you belong to like a church or a mosque, ask like people like, is there, elevated toilet seat with handles or 3-in-1 commode sitting in someone's like basement or attic storage area? Is that a place? Always thrift stores are great too. My mother-in-law found a brand new tub transfer bench, tag still on, at the thrift store. I mean, obviously check it out, make sure it's not broken and you can adjust the legs and it's stable and all that. But that's also a good place. And then, of course, there are, you know, depending on where you live, there's like lending closets or, you know, adaptive equipment closets, places where you could go for, where you could, you know, borrow the item and bring it back, or if you could purchase it inexpensively. But there are some people who are willing to pay for the nicer things. And so that's really fun too, at least for Toilet Talk. That's where I like to come in, where I'm like, oh, I have some, you know, more options for people who like to plan ahead of time. You know, there's this other woman I'm working with who she's talking about her bathroom and she's like, do I need grab bars right now? I don't have, you know, like I can easily get on and off the toilet right now, you know, in and out of the shower right now. And so there's things that can be done to get ready. So, you know, there are people who are like, if you're in the middle of remodeling your bathroom, you can have extra blocking put in places where you're probably going to install a grab bar in the future. And so before the drywall's put on, basically you ask your contractor, hey, do you have any like spare plywood, any extra studs that, you know, are cut wonky, and they can go ahead and put that blocking within the wall so that you don't have to worry about making sure that your grab bars are going to hit the studs because you have all this extra room in the wall to put them. So if you're like, I don't need a grab bar right now, I don't need the folding grab bar that's on the same wall as the toilet tank, at least doing that kind of work in ahead of time will save you so much time down the line as far as like putting in the more expensive option, so that you're using the equipment, which is the most important part. You're not using it because you think it's ugly, but you're using the equipment and you feel good because it's like, oh, this, you know, fits in with my bathroom decor. I love it. I can, you know, I'm not ashamed to have people come into my bathroom and take a look at it, because they won't think I'm, you know, they won't see me as like someone who like lives in a nursing home or is constantly in the hospital.
Yeah, that's all of that is like so good and important to talk about. I think to add to what you're saying, because I agree with all that, like I very distinctly remember doing a home assessment for somebody who had a small house and one bathroom, and she was having a hard time using the toilet, and she just really needed a raised toilet seat. And in this case, money wasn't even the issue, because I think I maybe had one or had access to one or something. It was available to us. So it was not even that she couldn't pay for it. And I was like, we need to put this on the toilet. And then if you do that, then you can get up independently and you'll have to struggle to get up from the toilet. And she literally refused it because her grandkids come over sometimes. And she didn't want it to be on the toilet. Even though the frequency of them coming over, even if they come over once a week, that's still one time a week out of 7 days where you have to go to the bathroom multiple times a day. She was willing to struggle to get up and down from the toilet just for the visual impact. Because kids literally don't care. They're going to be like, ooh, this is cool. I can climb on top of this. Like, they're going to just love it. But she just cared so much about things being the same for them, or maybe them not seeing her in a different light, that she was willing to struggle every day for that purpose. And so that stood out to me, because prior to that, for the most part, I was able to convince most people that like, hey, this is for your health and safety. Yeah. You know, let's do this, and didn't have a terrible amount of pushback, you know? And for her to be so strong about that made me think that like, well, my recommendations are only as good as they are used. And so even if I make the best recommendations possible, and I've thought of all the things, it's affordable or free, it's, you know, whatever, it fits, it solves the problem. If I haven't addressed all of her concerns, then and she doesn't do it, then all that's trash. And so that put me on the mission to like make sure that I always had a breadth of recommendation that fit every situation. So something that was affordable, which might not look the most beautiful, but it does the job. Something in the middle of the way, which like I spent a little bit more money, it looks a little nicer, a few more bells and whistles, and something fancier that maybe doesn't even look like an adaptive tool. And so now that I've pretty much fleshed all that out and have something for everything in that kind of thought process, I don't get a ton of pushback, because if somebody is like, no, I'm dead set on having a grab bar. I'm like, that's fine. If you don't want these toilet rails because whatever, it doesn't matter. And you want grab bars? We got grab bars. Here's a grab bar here. This is where you should put it. It's going to require these things. If you're willing to do those things to get it in, no problem. Here it is. Here's a color that you want. Here's a shape that you want. Like, there should be no barriers to having your home be as accessible as possible, because that's the only place in our lives that we can actually control how it looks and feels. And you should have full control over that and have all the options available to you. So I don't think it's frivolous to make sure that when you're giving recommendations as an occupational therapist, that you're not just giving the cheapest because you think that's the only thing people care about. Is that you're also showing, like, this is the breadth of what you could do. These are the different kinds. Even like raised toilet seat. I don't even have to go into the details, but you're like, there's different versions for everything, and they can look stuff has progressed, and it can look very much like normal without having to make your house look like a nursing home.
Yeah, I think like that's the essence of like client-centered practice and care, right? Is understanding that not everyone has the same priorities, not everyone has the same needs, and really understanding what's important to an individual besides just the things that we might think are important, what's important to that individual. And I think you're right, Brandy, like when we can meet those needs, that's when we find that we're not getting pushed back because we've met the need, all the needs.
Yep. All the needs.
So then things can get implemented. But yeah,
not just the function.
That's a great story.
Totally.
Care Lab listener, I have a question for you. If someone you love needed a caregiver, what qualities would you want that caregiver to have? You probably want them to be reliable, trustworthy, kind, maybe just a generally dependable and good person, right? Second question, would you also want them to be trained? I'm going to guess the answer is a definite yes. Okay, third and final question for you. Do you think it matters who gives that training? Like, is it cool if it's just in your body, or would you want that person to be a qualified expert? Assuming you do, in fact, love this person who needs a caregiver, you probably want the expert, right? Well, that's what Higher Standards Caregiver Training does. Higher Standards Caregiver Training provides 100% occupational therapist-led training for caregivers. Caregivers get taught everything from gold standard foundational skills for transfers and daily living tasks, all the way up to how to deal with specific diseases and injuries. And most importantly, they are taught all of these things in a way that is practical and enhances the participation of the person who needs the care. And it actually protects the safety of everybody involved. Why? Because everyone deserves a higher standard. For a course for individuals or learning about training for care for organizations, find that information at higherstandardscaregivertraining.com.
Oh yeah, I just real quick. Yeah, I had worked with a client. It was the same kind of situation where she was worried about her adult children who also lived in the home. So she did not want to have a tub transfer bench in the shower because that then it would get in the way. It would get in their way. And it's like they're willing to, move it out of the way when they shower. They don't need to use it, of course. And there was no convincing her. So it's like you would rather have, someone who had, it was like I was seeing her after some major heart surgery. It was like a cabbage. And it's just like, no, please use the touch. Like you had like major surgery, and showers are hard work. Like getting undressed, like getting wet, showering, drying off, it's just like, please. But yeah, it can, you just have to respect where people are at. And then, I'm always hopeful that the seed is planted and it's like, okay, maybe she took a couple showers and she was like, oh, I almost like lost it both times and like really got hurt. So yeah, maybe I should, go get a tub transfer bench this time, like screw my kids. Like, let me think of myself first and take care of myself so I can heal from this freaking heart surgery. So yeah. It's got to meet people where they're at.
Yeah, that's the thing that I like to say is like to tell the people to reframe it, because they're not going to say screw their kids. They're just not going to.
I know.
I think that's the Care Lab. Listen, that's the Care Lab T-shirt from today. Screw the kids.
Yes,
I need the
kids.
bench.
Do what I want. I need a bench. Exactly.
Screw the kids. I need a bench.
Yeah.
I tell people, listen. I say if anybody's coming over, they're coming over. Why? To see you.
Yeah.
They care about you. And so since they care about you and this is care for you, don't you think they're not going to be worried about this? And then people are like, oh. And anybody who would be like a jerk about it shouldn't be coming over or probably isn't coming over because they don't care about you. They're not coming to visit you at your home when you're sick. So
yeah,
think
screw
about
them.
And then people
screw them as well.
And then on the back of the t-shirt, it just says, screw them as well.
Yeah.
Quote, Maria Lindbergh.
Merch store, bro. This merch store is going to be crazy.
I tell you what, there's going to be some weird t-shirts on there. Yeah, we should do another one that says sexy bedside commode on it. Because what I'm hearing from all this is we need durable medical equipment that is sexier for people.
Yes.
And affordable too.
Yeah, because if you don't like how it looks, you're not going to use it or have it available to you.
100%.
And then that's like the worst. It's the worst thing because you know you need it, but you're not using it, you know? But yeah, we need more design. But I think that stuff is coming out, especially in like adaptive tools that you wear. I see a big improvement in like bras and underwear and adaptive clothing and everything that you put on your body, watches, fall alert buttons that look better, you know, everything you put on your body, people are clued into. There's still a very much legacy kind of positioning for like the equipment, the standard equipment that we recommend the most, but there are also options there too. And if you want to check those out, you can find them at AskSammy.com.
Ta-da!
Yep, that's what I do.
Listen, do we have time for another controversial bathroom
I think we got
thing?
time.
Okay, yes.
We got time.
I want to put this one kind of kills me a little bit. It kills me a lot. I want to know what you both think about space heaters in the bathroom on the floor.
Well, there are lots of places that we could go with that. I'm going to let Brandy start this one because I started the last one.
I care a lot about being warm. However, space heaters are problematic in general. They use a lot of energy. It's easy to short circuit stuff. They are in my house and people use them in my house, but they don't last that long because eventually, something shorts, and to have it near water is a challenge. But I am very for having a very warm bathroom. And so that might just mean switching your light bulb out for a heat light bulb, right? And that way it makes you shut the door and the place stays warm. There is very functional reasons for having an increased amount of heat in the bathroom so that our tone doesn't flare up and we don't get tight, or that maybe our trimmers don't get to their worst state because we're cold, that we're not rushing because we're cold, which means we do better with our mobility. So I'm for heat. I don't know that I'm for space heaters in there.
Yeah, I would basically second all of that. If someone is cold in the bathroom, and again, I agree, being warm is very, very important. Keeping people warm in the bathroom is very important for pain management. It's better for safety. It's better for many like different kinds of condition management that we want to make sure people aren't freezing in the bathroom. But my go-to is also switch out light bulb with a heating light bulb. It can be nice and toasty and cozy in there. The problem with space heaters are, besides just the potential electrical problems, and of course, depending on when your house was built and if your electricity is up to code and things like that, the risk of electric shock, like these are all really big deals. They're also tripping hazards. Many bathrooms are not that big, and a space heater is going to take up a large amount of room, both in terms of where the heater itself is, plus the plug and the cord and wherever that's going. So there's a tripping hazard there. It's a hazard for burns. This is one of the things that I talk about in general when I'm talking about safety with space heaters with clients is, and again, same, like there are space heaters in my house so I'm not going to pretend like I'm holier than thou and I've never used a space heater before, but we need to be really thoughtful about how we're using them because they can be dangerous, both from a fire hazard perspective as well as that tripping hazard, as well as a burn hazard. I have treated people with significant burns because they sat too close to a space heater, or because they were involved in a house fire that was a space heater. But like zeroing in, just sitting too close to a space heater can cause serious burns on a person such that they need to be treated in the hospital on the burn unit, getting skin grafts, all kinds of really, really, really unpleasant stuff that we would not ever wish on anyone. And so if they're around, they have to be used really judiciously, keeping safety top of mind all the time, particularly if someone does not have good sensation in any part of their body and they cannot feel how hot they are getting with that space heater, the space heater isn't going to shut off automatically because you are getting too hot or because your skin is starting to blister. So if you cannot feel that, and there are a large number of people who, for a variety of reasons, people with spinal cord injuries, people with strokes, people with diabetic neuropathy, any kind of peripheral neuropathy, any kind of sensation impairment, there should be so much thought and caution around using a space heater for all of the reasons. But trust me, folks, I've seen it. It ain't pretty. You don't want that.
No. I will admit I have space heaters as well in my house. And yeah, no, I mean, that shouldn't be, definitely not ashamed of that. It's just like, it is what it is. But yeah, when I think of, I'm just like, you're naked, you're wet and naked in the bathroom. And if you like you were saying, most bathrooms are teeny tiny, and you're putting your body in front of that space heater, that is so bad for your skin. It is just so bad. And yeah, things go wrong very, very quickly. And yeah, I tell people, I mean, especially if you're using like a walker in the bathroom, it's, it will easily trip on that plug and wire. I've had so many people fight me on the space heaters. That's why I wanted to bring it up. And there's so many other good options. I mean, I absolutely love the heated light bulb. But also, if you're a family member, yeah, I've had caregivers fight me on the space heater too. Which I'm like, why are you fighting me on this? This is like less work for you. Aren't you hot in the bathroom? Do you really want to help your mom while you're standing fully clothed
sweating
next to a space heater? Like, why are you fighting me on this? But other things can be helpful for people too, like having a robe, a very fluffy, nice, warm robe close by. If your family member is cold in the bathtub or shower, you could put a towel around their shoulders, wash their lower body, and then have a towel on their lap while washing their upper body. There are just things like that can really be helpful, that are more safe than using a space heater. And then for those of you who are like, I don't want to put a heat light bulb, and you've got a ton of money and you're doing a bathroom remodel, put in radiant floor heating. That is a goal for me in my house, to put in radiant floor heating so that I will safely feel warm. The joints in your feet, the joints, the tendons, ligaments, all will be so happy you did that and chose that. That way you're able to comfortably be in your bathroom, feel nice, warm, and toasty, and not freeze during the winter times, which here in the Midwest, in Kansas City, winter can feel very cold. I have tile floors in my bathroom and I get cold as well. But guess what's next to my shower? A robe.
Your house shoes.
Yes.
I was going to say, not a space heater, right?
A space heater that I point directly at myself so it can blow me off as I
do as I say, not as I do.
This is going to take a turn.
Surprise. Gotcha. You thought I was going to say robe. It's actually space heater.
No, what other clear, people, she's saying robe, not space heater.
Yeah, to be clear, no. Yeah, no space heaters in the bathroom.
No space heaters in the bathroom. I think that's a universal. We agree. Also, one other little trick. I love the towel thing, especially when you're in the shower wet, and that towel can keep you warmer. Another thing that I see people not doing or doing that they could easily fix is like you're trying to help somebody shower and you don't have. Maybe you have a handheld shower head, but you don't have a place that you could reach it at. And so when you're not holding it to rinse off, you drop it and let it hang down, and the water's going like wherever, to the tub or to the drain, but you're cold because you don't have the warm water on you. If you just get an extra handheld shower head holder and stick it on the wall, it can be screwed in, it can be stuck on the wall, it can be suction cupped to the wall. Doesn't matter. Just put it right next to where you are so you can reach it. Then the water can be pouring on you still like it would normally do if you were standing up and fully mobile, and keep you warm. And it costs like $5.
Yeah, so easy.
Common sense solutions. Yeah. Find it on AskSammy.com.
That's not commercial. I know. I hate to plug it all the time, but it's just like this. It's because people have these real problems, and so and there are real solutions that don't have to be tear out the bathroom and redo it. If you got the money for that, I'm for it. But most of us are just trying to get by every day. So there's little
buy some eggs.
Exist.
We're all just trying to buy some eggs.
We're just trying to buy some eggs, man, for real. Listen,
exactly. Not all
we
of
do
us
not have as
have
many
chickens.
scrambled eggs in my house.
That is a luxury. Right. It is a luxury to get some scrambled eggs.
Mm-hmm. We were just talking before we started recording, and Maria's sister has chickens, and we were just, because I was complaining about how much eggs cost, and we used to eat eggs so much. That was like my primary protein. Now I'm like, how many things can I do without eggs?
I know, that
because
so
like
sad.
you could like blow through some eggs, right? Like,
oh yeah,
3 eggs for breakfast, like that's no thing. But you know, when you're paying, I don't know. Anyway, this episode isn't supposed to be about the cost of eggs, but it's a real thing that's happening right now.
It's a real thing that's happening right now.
And it's probably not going to get any better. So,
anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. That's true. You know what? Things always get better. That's the real deal of it, right? Like sometimes we go through tough stuff, but eventually things get better. Sometimes it might take a while, but the pendulum will always swing. All right. Well, listener, Maria, thanks for being on again. You're the best.
Thank you for having me. Talking about bathrooms, talking about chickens and screwing the kids. Like, not in that way. Probably should have phrased it better. Anyway.
Bathrooms, chickens, kids.
Bathrooms, yeah.
That's on the t-shirt too. Some weird t-shirts we're going to be selling here, folks.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense when it comes from my mouth. Yeah.
That's also on the t-shirt. It makes sense when it comes from my mouth. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop with the t-shirt thing for right now. Dear listener, if you made it to the end of the episode,
bless you.
Maybe, bless you. Maybe someday we will actually have some merch for you to buy. But in the meantime, if you would do us the favor, please make sure that you're liking, subscribing. Go check out some other episodes with the great Maria Lindbergh. Download those, share them with folks. These are great ways for you to get more information, but also great ways to help other people discover the educational content and the helpful stuff that we're trying to do here at Care Lab. We appreciate you very much, and we will see you right here next time on Care Lab. Bye.
Bye, everybody.